Hello? Oh, I just lost you guys.
Huh. Let's take a moment and stop here and see if we can get Adam back. Cool. Okay.
And they're off.
Hey, everybody. Here we are. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hey,
For those of you wondering who we are ArTechník Podcast, a podcast about the intersection of art and technology, and I'm Jeff.
I'm Adam.
Aaron.
Oh, I'm Adam.
I'm Aaron.
Yeah, separate
Separately
entities.
from Adam.
Yes.
Well, hey, guys.
Hey.
It's been a little bit since we talked last.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who has what in the way of updates, but I have a couple of things. Most importantly, Adam, I took your advice from last time.
What did I say?
Well, last
Time
time
travel
we
advice?
kind of, yeah. Last time we were talking about messages to our younger selves and things that we could do over and things that we should do, or we could have told ourselves to do when we were younger. And you put down the challenge of it's not too late. Why don't you just do it? And so I did. My thing is that I would not play, music and stuff in front of an audience of actual human beings.
Oh, yeah.
And so Marty, who I was staying with when I was in Athens, and she was on the show. For those of you who don't know, Marty, our musician friend, encouraged me to play for her and sing a song for her, and so I did. And it was one of those, like, it was a dark, stormy night, like quite literally, and we were supposed to go see the Shakespeare, and then suddenly, the storm gets so big, the power goes out, and we light a bunch of candles and sit around and talk and end up playing music. And so, rather shyly, I did end up playing my song, and she and her husband, Noel, both really, really enjoyed it. Both the lyrics and the singing and everything else and the playing and stuff. And Marty said, you need to go to Hendershots on Monday and do their open mic. And I said, to hell with you, I won't. She says, yes, you will. And I did. And I'm really glad that I did. And it was received pretty well. And then I ended up playing it again somewhere else. And I was just really happy that I did that. And I appreciate you for laying down that challenge, because it was definitely in the back of my brain when I said, okay, I'll do it. So that's my update.
Well, cool. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
How about you, Aaron?
I am in the middle of my 6-week run of Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat at the Center for Puppetry Arts. We had 3 performances today, it's a Saturday, and good kids. They're having a good time. They really like the show. We're having a good time doing it. It's hard when you're doing 13 shows a week, but we're still enjoying it. It's a great show. If you're in Atlanta between now and July 27th, come on out and see it. Stand by the stage door afterwards and say hi. I know you from ArTechník.
I like the pictures of you in the blue. And I know I've got a couple of kids from the camp I was running in Athens who will be coming to see your show.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it's a weird Czech blue covert puppetry style.
I think that's pretty cool.
There is overt puppetry, which is like Avenue Q, where you can clearly see the puppeteer you are intended to, and you perform with the performer being a part of the visual. Well, we can be seen. We're wearing these blue velour outfits instead of the Czech black traditional black velour where you stand in the shadows and hold the puppet into the light. So technically we can be seen, but after about 5 minutes, your brain edits us out. So,
of course,
we are Czech blue, and I've named it covert puppetry rather than overt puppetry, because while we are there, we aren't seen anyway. So,
and why did they go with blue exactly?
Because the cat is a black puppet.
Right.
The cat, to draw him like he's in the book, has to be predominantly black fur.
Right.
So if you do check black and have the puppeteers disappear, then the cat would as well. So they were like, well, all of the backgrounds in the book are this sort of baby blue color. What if we tried the style with that and experiment? So it was a grand experiment, and it seems to be very successful. The kids are not like, but it wasn't a puppet show. I could see the people. But it is very strange because normally we have these hooded sacks over our heads with a little piece of scrim to look out of.
Yeah.
If you're doing it check black.
Yeah.
But they were like, well, we're going to see them anyway, so just having a weird blue sack over their head seems weird. So all of the hoods have, on the front of the little baseball brim that holds the hood a little bit away from your face, we have a nose and whiskers. And then on top of the hood, we have these soft fabric ears that stand up on our head. And we have, for the very beginning of the show, little blue, but dark blue, light blue striped hats that fit on top. And so they look like the Cat in the Hat hat, except they're light blue and dark blue instead of red and white.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm doing my offsite residencies, and so I'm mostly not here at Lexington Children's Theater. I drive usually at least 20 minutes away. That's about it, 35 minutes away. I was in Winchester, Kentucky, I think last week. This most recent week, I was in Frankfort, Kentucky at the Grand Theater, which is a really nice space. The last time I was in it was actually when I was still a tour actor here, and they had just started renovating the space. And so it was it was just basically a black stage with folding chairs. And I remember a lot of plastic being hung over the walls because whenever it rained, it would, leak into the building. And so, but it's just absolutely gorgeous now. But the theater, I think it originally was a vaudeville house, but they renovated it in the 40s and 50s, maybe even sooner than that, to be a movie house. So the seats are really low relative to the stage because it was, expecting you're going to be looking up at a movie screen. And so, it's, you can see, everybody could see our PW performance on Friday, but it was a lot of, your head was up. Everybody was craning up, which was interesting. But it was very successful. It was fun. We did this, what was it called? Stinky Cheese Man. It was based on the book by John Sheska, which is just a bunch of little sort of vignettes of fairy tales but like with a twist and some weird awkward thing about it, like Little Red Running Shorts or The Other Frog Prince or Goldilocks and the Three Elephants and stuff like that. So it was, it's weird, and it was fun. So I've really almost exclusively been teaching. Like every moment of my life is either consumed with planning for teaching, actually teaching, or driving to or from the place I am teaching.
It's like every moment of Aaron's life will soon be consumed with learning, planning to be learning, or planning to be learning.
58 days.
Oh, wow.
So Goldilocks and the Three Elephants, is that where the three elephants all kind of feel Goldilocks with their trunks and try to describe what she looks like? Because the elephants are all blind?
They're all blind. No. No, it's that's actually the shortest one. They literally just rattle that one off in like about 3 lines at the very beginning. And I think just to give the audience an example of like, hey, these stories are going to be messed up. And here's an example. And I think all it really is because everything is so oversized, Goldilocks can do no damage to it. Like she can't even get in the chairs because the chairs are so high off the ground. She can't get in the bed. She can't even reach the table to steal their food. So she's like, she gives a shrug and says, bump this, and she goes home.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. How long till you're off to Italy, Aaron?
I leave in 58 days, and it's about a week and a half after that classes start.
Wow.
So you do get a little
Chicago, and then I'm going to,
keep going. Okay. Yeah, I remember now. You said you build in some time to
I'm going
not
through
rush.
a few days in Chicago, and then a few days in Arezzo. I arrive like the Thursday before the Monday of classes, so I've got all weekend to sort of cry myself
Party.
to sleep. Party, yes. That is a better plan.
You got to have that first day of grad school hangover.
Is there a first day of grad school hangover? Having never
Yes,
been.
it's called every day of grad school.
Oh,
The hangover is from learning.
I was about
Kevin
to say,
Patrick has anything to say about it.
Jeebus. I also saw last week, and I went out and saw Man of Steel.
Oh man, I haven't
Did
seen
you guys
it.
see that?
Walk out crying halfway through?
Did I cry? Actually, I did cry a little bit through, and I totally get why the movie came out on Father's Day weekend. There's a lot of, there's a lot of, the pull of Clark between, what's his name, Kent,
Jonathan?
Thank you, Jonathan Kent. Yeah, Jonathan Kent, and then Jor-El, and but it was awesome. I mean, it was really good. I could see why a lot of people were angry by it, and felt that aspects of it don't line up with what they think is canonical.
People were angry about it.
Some people. I mean, just online, you saw some people that were like, just they felt that there were certain characters were behaving in certain ways that were not true to their comic book selves. But the thing is, I mean, there's been so many versions of them over the years. You know what I mean? Like,
it
depends.
Been around since.
Yeah, it depends on who's writing and drawing. And I will say, though, that there was the most interesting aspect about the film to me, which I felt they peppered throughout, but they never really developed. And there was one particular scene that I felt was like really heavy-handed with, Superman is like this Messiah Christ figure that will, save the planet, blah, blah, blah. And, but there's this one really good conversation he has with Jonathan Kent at one point, when, he's still growing up and he's struggling with his powers and trying to find his place. And Jonathan says something to the effect of, you're going to change everything. You're going to make people question their beliefs in God. In terms of, because we have this sense of we are created by gods, and,
Therefore,
we are.
It can't be from another planet because
Right.
we created them.
Right. And we're the pinnacle. And also then, in every religious earth tradition, there's, we are the pinnacle sort of creation. And so, now you have this other, that is more powerful and than a locomotive. I'm so tired.
I think I drank one of those once.
A mochalotive. Is that like Cracachino?
Cracachino!
I so need a Cracachino right now. But it was just this interesting, they sort of touched on, and there were a couple references to it throughout, and it was like, I wanted to see a movie where like all the religious leaders were in a room debating about, okay, here's this like super man from another planet, and what are we going to do, guys?
Word.
Yeah.
Right. Some sort of super man.
We wait for two kinds of smoke. One kind of smoke, religion can go on. The other kind of smoke, everybody give up.
Is it a blue smoke and a red smoke? Like that time he split into two, Superman split into those two entities?
They did that in the 50s, and they brought it back in the late 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
See, I don't remember the 50s one. I only remember when they did it in the 90s, like the two...
when he was all electric and stuff?
The electric suits.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember why, and I don't remember how they rejoined them, but I remember for a while, Superman looked like some extra out of Xanadu.
Yeah, he had like Magneto powers for a long time. Well, not for a long time, but it felt like a long time. I mean, he was all like lightning and magnetism and... zappy powers, which was very, different.
Yeah.
But and then some character took on that costume called Strange Visitor. What an awful name.
He would have to be. They ran out of names. They probably have like two jars, like in, the DC comic headquarters, and they're like, one is an adjective and one is a noun. Hey, this one says strange, this one says visitor.
Strange Visitor is part of Superman's extended definition, his extended title. Strange visitor from another world brought in.
This was a lady. Yeah. So we're waiting for more powerful than a locomotive girl.
Speaking of able to leap tall buildings, there is also a good moment where he doesn't know he can fly, and so the first time he moves great distances, it actually is a leap. Like he's jumping.
Oh, cool.
He's jumping, and about halfway through the jump, and there's this tight shot of what's his name, Henry Cavill's face, and you see him realize, wait a second, I feel something else, and it's like, oh my God, I can fly, and you see this joy on his face that like
Oh
as he
wow.
discovers this power, and it's a really nice moment. So
Is that where they've
I
secretly put Christopher Reeve's face over his for a moment, according to the internet?
oh, I
really.
have not heard
There's
that.
a thing going around that there's this, and it's a close up of the guy's face, and he's sort of going through clouds and light and stuff, so that like it's this very flickery sort of I'm
It was
traveling very quickly, and for
wow.
like a couple of frames, it looks like Christopher Reeves.
Well, then it would have to be that moment because that is the moment. It's like an extreme, like it's just his face basically, and a little bit of like clouds, and
Hmm.
you see the crackling energy as he discovers he can fly. So that's got to be the scene. Yeah.
I had begun to paint a very different image in my head when you said, like, he's jumping and he's jumping and then he feels something else and there's look on his face. And I thought the next thing you were going to say was,
Mega
but,
fart and he
that's where I
levels
live.
like the redwood forests. Yeah. Boom.
That's how he discovers he can fly. Whee!
Fortunately, that's never been the fart powered superhero propelled through space by.
Uh,
Not since Howard Stern's Fart Man.
Is that
yeah.
a real thing?
That is a real thing. He had this
Mhm.
character he would kind of just riff on when he was on the radio, and he actually had a suit created. And I remember it was during one of the MTV, I think, either video or music awards. He actually flew in as Fart Man, like they made up a whole costume for him. It was Howard
Oh,
Stern.
yeah.
There was an independent film called Thunderpants where the one kid is like a genius and the other is gassy but a good person. And so the
Mhm.
like smart kid makes him these fart pants that like filter and then use that energy to like give him superpowers, and so he becomes Thunderpants.
Wow. My apologies to any ladies who might be listening, but we're almost done, except to say this one thing. Aaron remembers this. I had these characters, Nelson and I had these X-Men parody characters called the Unfragrant X-Lax. And I'm going somewhere with this. And the Cyclops leader type character, I think his name was Butt Flops, and he had a butt for a head, and he had a visor and whatever. You can draw your own imagination to what he did. But the point is that he was the butthead leader, and he was a real jerk, and he was the leader of the group, the captain or whatever. And flash forward to recently. Sarah is making Commedia masks, and she's making, I think it was a Capitano, and she puts a little crease in it to kind of remind you of a butt.
Huh.
And I was like, oh, he was kind of a stock. That kind of makes sense.
That's funny.
So, Jeff, did you ever try out the digital coffee house?
No, I have not tried out the digital coffee house yet.
So-
I think I went to the site to download the because it was like an
It's a
audio
live
file,
stream.
right?
You just turn it on.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like this-
okay.
So, Adam, my sister sent me this thing that there was research done that the peak creativity level for creative endeavors is approximately the decibel and chaotic mix of what one catches at a regular old coffee shop.
Okay.
It's enough to keep you from sitting there in silence and fretting about your project, but it's not so loud or specific enough to distract you from your project, and it's why people go to work at coffee houses for a variety of reasons, but it turns out it's actually beneficial for those creative projects.
Hooray.
It says it's not for if you're doing your taxes or doing expense reports or spreadsheets, but if
Right.
you're creating, writing. And so Coffeetivity website has sprung up, and they've gone to several coffee houses and decided that the best one is this one they recorded and now have sort of a live looped stream
Mhm.
so that you can play it in the background as you work wherever you're working and get that peak coffee house level of distraction and noise. And I was like,
Wow.
this sounds so perfect specifically for Jeff, though in general, I mean, I go work on my scripts at coffee houses
Yeah.
and things.
That's where I go to learn my lines. Yeah, because there's something about the buzz of noise around you
And the buzz of the caffeine.
and the buzz of the caffeine. Yeah, to be fair, and yeah, that kind of keeps me focused in a way that if I was home where it was like dead silent, no distractions, I would get maybe 20 minutes of good focus, and then my mind would be gone.
Right.
Yeah, I did go to the site. I forgot there were a lot more plates clanking than I was used to. I remember that, so I listened to it for a little bit just to check it out. I haven't tried working with it yet at the house. I think I would have to put on a pot a decaf or something just for the smell, just to get the two going together. Yeah, but I think it would be a great idea when you can't go out but you need that kind of
I was like
thing, because things with words like lyrical music, it's gonna mess you up if you're writing, especially, at least me. But you know what, Aaron, you provided me with by sending me that article, you helped me understand why I am sometimes productive in a coffee house and why I sometimes am not. And I hadn't realized until the article pointed out, like you mentioned, that if you're doing tasks that are creatively productive, like you're writing your story or something, then the coffee house helps. But if you're doing something that's like more logistical, like if putting together, like I just finished this brochure design. I can go and I can design and do all the layout at the coffee shop, but I didn't do the registration form because that's all like, I've got to get the data entry points right and that's like a whole different brain set. Mm-hmm. And I had to do that at home in silence. And I understood that's what I had to do after reading that article you sent me, and I think it ended up saving me a lot of frustration.
Well, good.
So I appreciate it.
Something's come out of it already. But I was like, maybe if we could work as if we were at a coffee house, but not spend $5 a day to do it, our projects would ultimately be more profitable.
Yeah.
Let's dream.
Spend $10 on a bag of coffee and write it out. Yeah. I'm gonna try that soon because I'm back in the Polar home office, if you will, and I've got to kind of set that office space back up because I've been mobile for a couple months now, I guess, and that's one of the tricks I should try to get back in my daily routine. That and get up, get dressed, leave the house in the morning, and come back as if I'm coming into work. I think Aaron, I think you mentioned that once, and I think that's a good idea.
Well, this may save you money on all those $10 bags of coffee, especially if you're drinking decaf these days. This other thing I found this week is scentography. And
Go on.
a engineer and artist has designed a working scent camera. And we'll have to post a picture of it. I'm going to do my best to describe it on this radio broadcast. So there is a central unit that looks like sort of a white, like a Chinese takeout box, but like hexagonal. And it's got 4 tubes that come out of it and meet at the center. And then those tubes all go across as one to this sort of glass dome that's put
cone
on
of silence.
Cone of scent capturing. And so you put whatever it is you're trying to capture, coffee beans, for example, under the glass dome, and the Madeline, which is the name of the project, captures the little scent molecules that are actually coming up off the object and capture it in Tenax, a porous polymer resin that absorbs the volatile particles that make up the smell. And from there, you can get the exact gas mass spectrometry of that particular odor and sort of recreate it like Pantone colors, but for scents.
This sounds like Farnsworth's
Smelloscope.
Smelloscope. Thank you. Yeah, I could see him.
So are they gonna like register those scents like Pantone does their colors?
Well, there's only the one prototype working model at the moment,
right?
But it can create these delicate vials of the scent, and then a bronze disc with the formula information. Uh,
So, I mean, but if you can copyright perfumes,
I guess so.
I know you're, and if you can copyright recordings, which, like, if I go out and I shoot a recording of a tree,
Does
even
anyone
though the
hear
tree
it?
was there, I don't know, does anyone see it? But even though the tree is out there in nature, right, and exists on its own in nature, the recording of the tree is still mined by copyright. So even
Sure.
though the scent goes out and exists in nature,
As long as you're not trying to copyright an existed copy, like you couldn't say, well, I've captured the scent of Chanel number 5, therefore this is my new version of Chanel number 5, and I'm going to sell it.
but you could remix it.
But you could catalog it, I guess. Um,
You could remix Chanel number
Yeah.
5.
yeah.
Well,
You're thinking of Mambo number 5.
I am. But wouldn't it be neat if there was a way that and I guess it's impossible because it's particles of matter. But if there was a way where the scent could abruptly change as quickly as a piece of music can abruptly change, and the scent's not jumbled together. Do you know what I mean? Like you smell this,
Well, you could
and then
blast
you smell that.
the white scent they created for the perfume
Yeah.
display in between.
Oh yeah,
So you could have emotion number 1 scent, white scent, emotion
Yeah.
number 2.
And then you could
Or-
sample and remix Chanel number 5.
And I heard this on a little piece on NPR the other day. You could create little microbes, and you could alter their genetic structure so that maybe they ate the previous scent and what they like their output, the whatever gases or things they give out,
We're back to poop.
turn into like another scent. And I swear to God, this was a legitimate thing I heard on NPR the other day. This scientist, and I think his name was Kiesling, and I was trying to find it online, but I guess I was spelling his name wrong, whatever. But it was on NPR on Morning Edition yesterday about this guy, Kiesling, that he is currently, he's already successfully done this once with microbes, where he has genetically, at the genetic level, modified them so they take in organic materials, but their output and things they produce are synthetic. And so he's actually created microbes that produce basically malaria vaccine. And there's one company out there that the way they make their product is through these microbes.
Wow.
And so currently he is trying to, and he has successfully done it, but it's not cost effective, of creating microbes that their output, their synthetic output is basically a diesel fuel. So it's a biodiesel essentially. And he's on the process of, but it's a diesel fuel that when you burn it, it does not burn, giving off carbon dioxide, or carbon monoxide. The bad carbon
stuff.
the bad carbon output out of the back of your car. It doesn't put that out there. And so currently it can already make the diesel fuel, but it's an expensive process right now because what they're ingesting is very complex sugars, and sugar is expensive to refine. And
Yeah.
so now he's trying to create microbes that do it off of simple sort of plant matter like cellulose and
Like almost like what any raw, just
right, grass,
field, just
leaves,
go.
yeah. And
now
so
if they
yeah,
could do it with an elephant, so
Yes.
that the output volume was increased exponentially.
We are making some really high level poop jokes today, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with us.
it all started with poop.
Yeah, speaking of animals, I just saw we were having some technical difficulties before the show, and I just saw, Adam, your text message, and it said, "My Google cat has frozen."
Oh, really? I was trying to type it while you guys were talking because I thought, should I
Cat
say
must
it?
be in beta.
I guess. Oh, well. And
My
like,
Google cat has frozen.
right. Yep, there it is. My Google cat is frozen. And then
I
right when I sent it, that's when I lost you guys. So
I
now
bet
you're
they're
back.
developing a Google Cat.
What are they not developing? What are they not?
There's
Now
a
that
developing?
they're
Google
into
everything.
hardware, they might as well make pet animals.
Ethics. That's what they're not developing. Waka 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 waka.
Is EPIC
I
an
got nothing.
acronym for something or just like a story that I
Sure.
give a damn about?
Ethics is one of those like recursive acronyms, like GNU's not Unix. It stands for ethics that have integrity tomorrow come
Oh,
soon. I was almost at it.
No, you didn't.
Almost.
And I totally misheard you. I thought you said epics, EPICS. So
Oh,
I was very
I see.
confused. We were
I
having
see.
two different conversations.
But think how cool it would be, like, if you took like the Google Glass technology
Hmm.
and put
And
it
put it on
into
your
like
cat.
a robotic pet that like followed you along,
Mm.
like this companion animal, and you could
And
be
you
like,
said cat go search for something?
yeah, and it could like lead you. It'd be like, show me the way to the closest movie theater, and you would follow your cat down the street.
Oh, that would be
But
cool.
would it be an actual like hardware cat or like some virtual cat that only you could see through the Google Glass?
I am envisioning a robotic hardware cat instead of having to wear
Oh,
the Google
okay.
Glass myself.
Oh, instead
It's
of.
like a
Gotcha.
robot, his dark materials.
Yeah, like everybody's robotic Google demon.
Right. Or if you had like a home version dedicated to like takeout services only, it'd be Go Fish, and it'd be a fish in a bowl like Klaus. And you would say, I want pizza, Go Fish, and he would call up the delivery people, know what kind of pizza you want, and it would show up at your door. For the I don't want to go out version. And then the cat and the fish would probably have an interesting relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if, in the meantime, you could have like your virtual fish tank like on like a Google tablet hanging on your wall, and you'd be
Mhm.
like, go fish, and it would do it, and the fish would disappear and reappear on the pizza delivery person's tablet and be like,
Mhm.
this is the order, and then it would swim back to your tablet, and then you could like give it like fake virtual digital
So-
fish flakes.
So now it's
And
like
it
a
would
Harry
love
Potter
you.
portrait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oi.
So who's using DuckDuckGo,
Just you.
by the way?
What is
Just
that?
me?
What the hell is DuckDuckGo?
I don't know what it is.
DuckDuckGo is a search engine that is becoming popular based on the backlash to all of the search engines that are having to deal with the Prism stuff that's happened recently. Prism, come get me. Anyway, DuckDuckGo does not personalize or save your search queries in the way that Google does. So first off, it doesn't catalog and save your searches, supposedly. I mean, you have to just trust them, I guess. But also, it doesn't tailor any of the searches based on your IP address, based on any way that it would garner information about you. So it's not going to give you like local results for X, or how you and I can enter the same search terms in Google even if we are logged out, and we are going to get different things. DuckDuckGo just gives you the straight results of its algorithm. And mostly for privacy reasons, people are at least temporarily jumping ship over there. We'll see if it's just a fad or if it's going to give them enough to do something with it. But my question is, well, how are you going to monetize anything that you're
Sure.
doing, DuckDuckGo? I like your idea. I like another competitor, but how are you going to make any money off of it?
Yeah, when it comes down to it, they'll sell out and become like every other company that's
Well,
out there.
you can still do.
That's nice, Adam. That's nice. It's real hopeful.
It's true.
It's true. I'm a pragmatist.
But I think you can still basically do instant result the ads, couldn't you? I mean, just because they can't be personalized to an environment, you could still do.
Yeah, I think so.
The word camera gives you a Canon EOS
Like
ad.
it used to be. Yeah, like it used to be back when Google started.
Huh.
Right? Because before they were so good at collecting everything, I mean, they had to start learning how to do their ads some way, and that sounds like the
Yeah.
most basic one-to-one way. So that makes sense. I'm not saying there's not a way to monetize it, but I'm just asking what their strategy is. Anyway, so DuckDuckGo, if you are scared of Prism, go check it out while you can. But the truth is that if you are submitting that search
It's too
on
late.
an unencrypted network, you're still sending data, especially over Wi-Fi. But you're still sending data over the air that can be, picked up by packet sniffers and stuff like that before it even, arrives at DuckDuckGo in those milliseconds that it takes. So
I got it.
I
mean, this is kind of related, but on an extreme end. I got an email just the other day from Vendini. Vendini's servers were hacked, and so people's
I got that.
personal. I got that one, and apparently, I think they said it affected over 500 different arts companies in the country, and actually, Lexington Children's Theater was one of them. And
Yep.
so and so it's just yeah. So there you go. That happens.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Vendini is a box office software solution for nonprofits and other companies that do live events.
Tracking patrons and events.
Yeah.
The ones that are trying not to
Yeah.
give all of
But
your
as I
money
recall,
to
Vendini doesn't actually store credit card data, if I remember correctly. I know that they'll store like user like addresses and
I think that is
names and stuff, but no card data. Thankfully,
I think that is true because because when I take orders over the phone from people, you always have to enter the information each time.
Yeah,
but
and you would need a whole different level of certification if you were storing credit cards locally. You'd have to be oh god, what is it? RSI, whatever the hell it is. Whatever the hell it is. There's a certification you have to get to store credit cards, and you get audited annually and stuff like that.
But you get enough information, personal information about people, and you can take reasonable guesses about
That's
passwords and create false identities and
1, 2, 3, 4 or password. Go. I was staying at someone's house one time. Adam knows this story. I was staying at someone's house one time, and I couldn't get onto their Wi-Fi. And I said, "Hey, what's your password for your Wi-Fi?" And they go, "I don't know. we didn't set it up. I don't know what it is."
Yeah.
And look on the router. I look on the router. I can't find anything. So I just go, password. And it works. And I go, your password is password. And they go, eh.
Most of the time, I mean, like, I frequently, the router, the wireless, there's not a lot of, I mean, I live in a large enough neighborhood that my neighbors aren't close enough to the system to usually pick ours up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Wired. The digital gentleman had a had a report on whether you should secure your Wi-Fi or not, and he was like, "No, most people can't do anything with it unsecured." And some guy who's really in trouble and needs to pick up a Wi-Fi signal for a moment could really use that.
Although there was one case, because I read a more in-depth article one time talking about essentially, keeping your Wi-Fi open because there are more benefits than there are. What's the opposite of benefit?
Risks.
To track risks.
Problems.
Thank you. Good. Problems. There we go. But they did mention the case of this one guy that he had an open Wi-Fi and his neighbor was using his Wi-Fi signal to download child pornography.
Yep.
And so this guy got arrested because he was the owner and I guess the gatekeeper of that particular IP address, that Wi-Fi signal, whatever. And so he actually got arrested. Eventually, they cleared him, but it was a very expensive process.
Yeah, I am not a believer in open Wi-Fi personally. I just when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah. But stories like the one you're talking about, and just as many, open devices as I have, like in my home, like where I want everything to wirelessly, share files between things, and even on my machines, like everything's configured along the chain to have a password so they know to talk to each other and not to other things, and everything's pretty clamped down here. But why throw the gate open, in case, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you discover like, oh, well, there's this vulnerability here that, if they get access to your Wi-Fi, then, for these 3 months until there's a patch, there's this little thing. And it's like, you know what? Why invite trouble? At least that's what we're at. But I also have to like do things like upload, large videos and stuff like that for work. So it's like I don't need someone else, streaming down Netflix, pulling out of my bandwidth when I need these things for work.
Mm-hmm. That all makes sense.
But Aaron, you're a better human being than all of us, I think.
Well, no, really, the most thing is my dad gets new gadgets that he uses for like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's constantly putting things on and taking things off, and he's like, I don't remember how to put this on. So it's like, oh, I'll set it up so it's easier. Unlock. Oh, look, all your gadgets work. Leave me alone.
Ta-da!
That's funny. Well, speaking of new gadgets, there's a guy that I found this week online. Not personally, that'd be awesome if I knew him, but I don't. His name is Rich Lee, and he is Rich Lee. And that
Go on.
I don't
He's
know.
an adverb. I love
He
it.
isn't. He is an adverb. Although I said him as a question. Rich Lee.
Rich Lee.
Anyway, he is a self-described transhumanist and into like sort of body modification, very similar to the cyborg man that we talked about in some episodes past. And this guy, Rich Lee, what he did was he saw a little how-to on that website Instructables, which Instructables has a bunch of like sort of how-to either crafty or gadgety tech things. I've pulled a couple of things from him before, but basically he has taken two tiny little magnets and he has implanted them into that little flap that covers like your ear hole. I don't know what it's called. Not the lobe at the bottom, but the little sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
jutty out pointy
The
part.
thing
Anyway,
that you,
The nubbin.
the nubbin.
the bit you
planted-
push when you want to hear people in the club.
right. That is the,
The
button
clubbin.
you push.
The clubbin. It's the clubbin.
I don't know
he
why
had two.
it works, but it does.
He put two little magnets in the clubbin, and he has created a necklace that is basically like another sort of magnetic coil that's connected to an amplifier, a tiny amplifier that then plugs into like his iPod and smartphone, and so he can play music that broadcast directly into those magnets that are implanted in his ear through the amplifier necklace thing that he has created. And so he has like permanent sort of headphones implanted into his ear in a way. And yeah, go ahead. You look like you want to say something. Yeah. But part of the reason why he did this, he actually he was thinking about sort of other upgrades and things he can do. He wants to create like sort of an echolation device. So that he can tell, depth and distances of things. And the reason why is because he is going blind. He has a degenerative eye disorder. And so, this seems extreme to play music, all the time, but it's more towards this progression of wanting to create this sort of echolation device that will help him navigate the world when he eventually and inevitably loses his eyesight. But yeah, his name's Rich Lee. Yeah,
I was trying to look him up on the interwebs on transhumanity.net.
And if you find the right link, there's actually you can. He's got like a little video of showing him using the device and kind of they describe how it was done and little incision right at the clubbin and very little scarring. Yeah. I hope that becomes a term that maybe he picks up and starts using the clubbin. Yeah. But
it says here on transhumanity.net where if it's the same guy as an author, and I assume he is, it says Rich Lee is a space gangster, businessman,
yes,
grinder, and black hat transhumanist. He promotes tech piracy, biohacking, and committing grand theft future.
Yep.
I like his bio.
He's pretty cool. There was another little thing that stood out. I remembered because he's trying to figure out all of these other devices that he could, connect to the magnets in his ear, and one of them was a Geiger counter. Because a Geiger counter detects the radiation with these clicks, and he apparently lives in Nevada somewhere, or he frequents in Nevada, and there was a lot of nuclear testing that went on there in the 1950s, and there's still a lot of hot spots with low level radiation, and so he kind of wants to go out there and go amateur uranium cake hunting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue for my first experience with a Geiger counter, which I've never experienced in real life. But I always think of the scene in the original Incredible Hulk comic origin story, whatever it was, with him in the desert. And he's sitting there, and Bruce Banner's, the bomb's already gone off. And he and I think Rick Jones are sitting in the cell, and he's getting all sweaty and weird, and the Geiger counter starts going off. And that's how I learned what a Geiger counter was. And click, 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 click. And then he hulks out.
I think the first time I ever saw a Geiger counter was in Ghostbusters 2. And looking back, I don't understand why they were using a Geiger counter. It didn't make sense. I mean, they were, maybe ectoplasm gives off some low level radiation, but they never used the word radiation. They were just like, yeah, the Geiger counter says there's a lot of slime down here. So, oh well. And you wonder, guys, why I had such a confused understanding of science and scientific facts and theories. Because I would
Geiger
just,
counters measure slime.
yeah, I would just watch these, bullshit movies that would just throw in technical terms. And, like I've said in the past, I would just wholeheartedly believe any story. You know what I mean? I would throw myself into it. And so, yeah, Geiger counters are used to find snot. So
Why not?
I believe them.
They go crazy at Nick Studios back when that existed a long time ago.
Yeah.
I always find it funny how much of Nickelodeon is still slime oriented when you can't do that on television, hasn't been on in decades, and nobody knows.
Yeah. Nobody knows where it came. Where's it? Where's it?
The
come
current
from?
watchers are not hip to
No.
their ancestry.
But even and I hate too that the slime texture has changed. It's essentially green water. There's a little bit of viscousness to it, but
the theme
not
park
much.
slime is still the goopy slime. It's what they use in the award ceremonies where they're just having to make, metric tons of the stuff. But I have a friend who worked in the theme park division before Nickelodeon Studios closed, and he knows the slime recipe.
That's cool. Hold him hostage.
Yeah.
I don't know what we do with it, but
I know what I'd do with it, but
what? What would you do with
I
it?
maybe can't talk about it on the podcast. But
You're
I know
saying
what
you
I would
can't do
with
that
it.
on podcast?
That's right.
Nice. I want to slime you.
Me and Alanis Morissette. She was
Calm
on that
down,
show.
Dave Coulier. Calm down.
That's true.
Cut it out.
Boy.
Articles.
Articles.
Guess we've
Anybody?
already been
We've been
doing
doing?
articles.
Yeah, we've been doing articles.
I just feel weird when I don't say it.
Oh.
Actually, I think we're running to the end of our time for today.
Yeah.
I think we are. We are actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Bless
you.
the heck out of. Oh, he's making slime.
Well,
We're very bodily today, and
better
Geiger
that end-
counter over here. Just
better
went
that
off
end
the
than the other.
charts.
Yeah.
or whatever they sound like. Ah.
So sign offs.
Yes, sign offs. I am Jeff, and I am as viscous as you need me to be.
I'm Aaron, and I have slimed the virtual environment.
Did he go away?
No?
No, he's still
Oh,
here. It's time for
okay.
you to go away.
Sorry, no, it like trailed off, and then your picture went away at my end. So I thought, oh no, my computer
that's all I
messed
had
up
to say.
again.
He's just stalling. Adam just wants more pod time, more radio hours.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see here. My name is Adam, and I still barely understand how a Geiger counter works.
Hulk out!
Aaron.
All right, goodbye, internet.
Meow.
Frozen cat.
Meow.
Go
Yeah,
get
that was
me a
my
pizza.
that was my Google cat.
Give me
Meow.
a pizza, Google Cat.
Meow, 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 meow.